He can pardon himself. He'll clear himself. And then we'll just go about our business. I mean, there's so much craziness that keeps coming out of the woodworks. You think one indictment's crazy, and then you hear another crazy one. So I think he would end up just, pardoning himself, and the rest of the world would just move on.
Obviously, the rule is innocent until proved guilty, but should a man facing such an array of charges be running to be elected president of the United States?
Well, unfortunately, we have a lose-lose situation because we still have investigations on the other side dealing with President Biden and also with his son and overseas dealings. So we've got two of our top possibilities that are tainted to some degree.
No, I appreciate that, but we're talking about Donald Trump. I mean, Donald Trump's the one who's been indicted.
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying. But if those are our two choices, that's why I'm saying it's a lose-lose situation. We don't have one person at the top who's actually clean. And no, I actually was delegate for Trump. I voted for Trump twice. He lost my support this go around. I am not supporting him. I think the fact that he surrounded himself with a bunch of grifters, and those grifters are now coming out as the co-conspirators. For example, attorney Sidney Powell, who helped push and peddle the election fraud rhetoric, I think was very damning. And it trickled down to the states, because here in the state of Nevada, you had fake electors. And those 6 fake electors, they also were peddling that there was systemic fraud with nothing to show.
You're talking about the pro-Trump electors.
Yes,
Yep.
Yes. And it caused a lot of chaos and damage here for our election process. And so our new Nevada Secretary of State put together a nonpartisan committee, which I happen to be one of 9 people that sits on. So that way we can sit there and discuss on how we can make sure that this doesn't happen again, and that our election process is told to the citizens that it is good, that we are doing our best. And so, I think really what Donald Trump has done by continuing to push this, not misinformation, because misinformation would be, accidental, but disinformation. It's now coming out that he knew that he had lost, but still continues to fundraise anyways and have donations from people pay for his legal fees. It's very embarrassing. And I wish that he would not run.
I've got to ask you, why are so many people in your Republican Party, including the other main rivals for the nomination, why are they continuing to stand by Donald Trump?
Well, I think the hope is, and I don't wish ill upon anyone, but let's say Donald Trump decides not to run. Something happens, at this point, he could even run if he was in jail because there's no law against it. But let's say he decides not to run. The other opponents are going to need his base votes. So unfortunately, we're now seeing very disingenuous comments coming out of some of these other opponents, such as, Governor Ron DeSantis, Senator Tim Scott, who I actually happen to really like, but they're walking a fine line. And so the only person who's really come out swinging hard is, Vice President Mike Pence at this point.
Well, and Chris Christie to a certain extent as well.
Oh, okay. I've missed that one.
Yeah. And what about the Republican base, if you like? Again, given all the charges that are mounting against Donald Trump, why are people sticking with him? Why apparently do the majority of registered Republicans still fancy him as their candidate?
It is bewildering. It absolutely is. And I think the fact is he has done an excellent job at creating a system of victimhood. He says they're not just coming after me, they're coming after you. I'm just in the way. That's one of his famous lines. And so he has created this base that is angry, that believes that it's a 2-tier system, with our judicial system, and that everyone that's Republican is being treated unfairly. And so, this message has resonated. And so the more that he gets in trouble, so to speak, the more allegations that come out, the stronger he becomes with this base.
Let's say Donald Trump gets the nomination, is elected president, and he's also convicted on these particular charges we're talking about yesterday. Where does that leave the United States?
Well, he can pardon himself. He'll clear himself. and then we'll just go about our business. I mean, there's so much craziness that keeps coming out of the woodworks. You think one indictment's crazy, and then you hear another crazy one. So I think he would end up just, pardoning himself, and the rest of the world would just move on.
You think the rest of the world would be quite happy with a convicted criminal being the leader of the free world?
No, I don't. But I also don't see him winning a general. I see him winning a primary, but not the general. That's two different elections. So he very well may succeed with the base that he has for the first half of the election. But I think that there is the middle ground of the soft Democrats and nonpartisans, independents that truly do not want to see him be reelected.